All right, now that we have the tackle room cleared out, we're going to go ahead and build a shelf system in. I'm going to do some basic three-tiered shelving. So it's basically going to be on the floor, 1, 2, 3 shelves, and then I'll have the top as a open shelf as well. So I've got a pretty easy way of doing it, and going to just kind of build it up to be a little bit more heavy duty than necessary because this is going to be carrying a lot of weight on these shelves. But yeah, so let's get started. See, check out the Honda Fit. We got 6 2x4 by 10 footers and 4 2x4 by 8 footers, and they fit with the hatch closed. And the most important thing, 43.8 miles per gallon, baby, and that is after 4,268 miles on this trip. 43.8 miles per gallon. Bah, nice. Look at that, no problem. Could fit about 12 10-footers through here, and I could probably do about 20 8-footers and still close the hatch. All right, we've got our 2x4s. I've got 6 10-foot lengths because the room is basically around 9 foot wide, so I'll have to trim those down. And then I just have some standard 8-foot 2x4s because they're the cheapest route to go, and those are going to be the cross members as well as support bracing for the shelves. But yeah, so let me start off by cutting the 6 2x4 by 10 footers down to size. All right, I went ahead and cut one down to exactly 117 inches, so I've got that. Then I set up this basically little jig here for my miter saw. I'm just using the end piece so I know how far it needs to cut. Boom, right there. So I've got it all locked down. And then fire. It's locked in there. As long as I keep those end pieces the same, and then that's going to be the same. So just 4 more to go. All right, so we got our 6 cross members. So 3 will be going against the wall into the studs, and that's going to create the lip for our shelving. And then I'm going to have 3 more cross members that are going to be the outside edge and running exactly the same height for the shelving to sit on. So now what I need to do is, I could go ahead and start mounting those because there's nothing stopping me, but I want to cut everything while it's still sunlight, and then I could work on this at nighttime if I have all the pieces. So what I want to do next is I'm going to build supports. Going straight into the vertical uprights would be probably fine, but because of the amount of weight these are going to have to do, what I'm wanting to do is I'll have the cross members going into the studs, and then I'm going to put braces underneath them that will support them as well. So there's really no possibility that they could be pushed down because of those. So I'm going to do 3 of those, 1 on each side and 1 in the middle, and that will support those beams going across. And then I'll need them for the bottom level, 2nd level, 3rd level, and then the 4th is just going to be open, just top shelving. So what I'll have to determine is the height that I want these to be set up, so then I can go ahead and cut the vertical supports. Now the only problem, well, 2 semi problems are, 1, I don't know what size the packaging will be to know what level will be right. There's multiple sizes, so I'm just going to have to guesstimate. I'm going to probably just go a little bit larger opening on the bottom one, little bit smaller in the middle one, and then a little bit smaller on the top one, and just go there because I know there'll be lighter, medium, and heavyweight products. So we'll go from there. And then the only other second issue is that this outlet is kind of in the middle, so I'll have to go a little bit offset on all of it, but it's not totally centered either. But all right, Let me figure this out. All right, so I think I got it figured out. I'm gonna go 2.5 feet to the top of the shelf will be there. Then 2 feet to here, 1.5 foot, and then I'll have a 1 foot slot up on the top. So it'll be 2.5, 2 foot, 1.5, and 1. So that'll give me some staggering, and I'll be able to adjust depending on the package sizes. And then the 2 foot is pretty high, but it's on the floor, so I could really stack things up there. Not good for flooding, but good for packing stuff in. All right, so that makes it easy. So I'm going to just use 1/2 inch OSB as my shelving. So that's 1/2 inch. 2x4 is going to be 3.5 inches long. Bam. So combined, those are 4 inches. And then I have a total of 2.5 feet. So that's 30 inches. So subtract the 4 is 26 inches. And that is going to be my vertical supports. Need to be cut down to 26 inches for the first section. So that's our calculations for that. All right, so I got it all planned out. Shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3. So I'm gonna need 26 inch vertical supports, 20 inch, and 14 inch. So I'm gonna need 6 of each one of those, 26, 20 inch, and 14 inch. All right, we've finished cutting everything up. Love the miter saw. We got our stack of 14s, 20 inch, and 26 inch. So those are our vertical supports. The only thing I am missing is the cross members that are going to connect the 2 walls basically. I'm waiting on a pocket jig set up. So once I get that, then I'll do those because I want to use pocket jigs to make the cross members. That and then the shelving, which is just going to be a 1/2 inch OSB, so nothing big there. In the meantime, I could go ahead and set up the skeleton, which will be the vertical supports and the cross members. I'm going to do it against the wall first, get that completed, so they'll be bolted against the studs. And then once I've got that completed, I could just do a exact duplicate by just mounting right on top of those with the second set and just holding those by some temporary screws. And once I have it basically mirrored, I just take out those secondary screws and I can just slide that secondary wall back, and I know it's going to be perfect height and adjustments and so forth. All right, now we've got to go through and find out where our studs are. So I got this little stud finder here. So there should be one on the corner. Yep, it's finding it in. Okay, there's the one edge there. Drag it across. Oh, right there's one edge. There's the other edge. So there's one right here. So I'm just going to go down the wall. And should be at the corner here. Yep, there's the edge there. All right, so got plenty to choose from. Don't need them all. Probably just 3 spots will be fine. So I'm going to mark them. Set my lower vertical supports, probably on an inside, one close to the center, and then one off the corner over here. All right, so we finished the basic wall brackets. The top 2 vertical posts are actually going to be taken out. I've got the horizontal braces drilled into every stud, so they're good to go. The bottom one that have the vertical ones, those will stay. The reason being is I'm going to do a duplicate wall just like this one that will be sitting right here, and then without these on here, it'll be just the horizontal slats here, and then I could just get a length of a board that will just basically sit on top of here and on top of it on this side, and that'll be the shelving. But what I'll do is once I have those shelvings in, I'll come back and put these back in. I'll just cut them down by 1/2 inch and then just wedge them in there and then put a screw through there. Okay, so I have mounted temporarily, just 2 screws for each board, this second set of boards so that they're exactly flush with the wall mount boards. Since these are going to be the ledges for the shelving, I want to make sure they're the exact same height, and not wanting to have to do all the measurements and stuff, I just temporarily bolted so they're exactly even. Then I'm going to take my 2x4 long lengths and I'm going to bolt them against this outside ledges. And once I've got all 3 of those uprights mounted, then I'm going to take these temporary screws out, and that second ledge here can slide back and it'll be exactly the same height as the wall ledges. All right, so I attached the 3 vertical supports to our cross members here. So now that's all squared up. They're all perpendicular to the ground, so everything's good. I went 3 screws on every one because it's going to be load bearing. Now what I'm going to do is just need to take out these few screws that were holding the secondaries to the wall horizontal supports, and then this whole wall can slide back. All right, so I went ahead and unscrewed this exterior wall from the wall. And just slid it out temporarily. I just had these boards. They're my bottom supports that are going to go underneath here, but they're actually pretty close distance of how I'm going to want it, but it just basically holding it up there. But as you can see, everything is perfectly level, so shelving will just sit right on top and be just perfectly flat across the 3 levels there. Now what I have to do is I'm waiting for my pocket jig to show up. It's 3 days behind, but I want to pocket screw some supports, so they'll just basically screw in there, and then that'll connect this outside wall with the inner wall, but also be a support for the shelf, the board that I'm just going to lay across here, and then that's going to give some extra strength and stability for both lateral and up and down. All right, it's 4 days later, and this pocket jig finally showed up 4 days late. Basically got shipped from California, made it to Florida, and then for some reason it got shipped up to Pennsylvania, and then it got shipped back to Florida, and then it sat in a warehouse for 3 business days in Florida before finally getting sent down to me. I don't know what the deal is, so it's 4 days beyond the last delivery date that I was supposed to show up, but that's kind of the keys deal, and also why it was so important when I was doing the windshield on my car to make sure I had everything so I didn't have to get delayed like stuff like this. But anyways, I got this pocket hole jig. What this one is made for is doing these little inserts. Yeah, these little special flathead screws, and they recess into the pocket. Basic pocket screws, and this is a pocket jig. Just makes for a cleaner, little bit stronger screw in than normally by just drilling a screw, angling it, and pushing it through. This is just a little cleaner version of doing it. All right, that is done. So I've got all the cross members in. Went every 3rd section, so there's 3 basic sections, so they're all even. Went ahead and also put in the supports for the bottom there, so the bottom is totally foolproof. I have to, next is I'm going to put in the shelving, so I just got to get 2 sheets of the OSB 4x8s, and then I'll fill the shelvings. And then I actually don't think I need it up top, but I will probably do one for here, is put the braces supports in. But I'm going to have to cut these down because I didn't compensate for the 1/2 inch OSB that's going to be there. So I'll just have to trim those after I get it in, and then that'll support this top piece. And then I could do one up here if I do feel like it. I've got the wood already cut for it, so maybe we'll. But yeah, it worked out good. I like those pocket jig screws there. I didn't compensate for the shorter pieces. These I did first, but it's basically 2 2x4s that's going through. But when I do 1 2x4, I had it in too deep, so I had a little bit sticking out, so I had to grind them off, but no big deal there. Yeah, looks good, and it is sturdy. This baby is not going anywhere. So the frame itself is definitely not going to be the weak point. When I get those heavy boxes in, I just got to make sure like a weak spot right here doesn't happen with the OSB. It should be okay because it's just 24 inches, but depends on how heavy I get, double stacking and very heavy stuff. So there we go. So Not sure if I'm gonna go tonight to Home Depot. I gotta use the trailer, get 2 sheets, but I want to go fishing tomorrow, so I got all my stuff in the car, and I don't know if I want to unload it. All right, so I got the shelving done. I forgot that Home Depot will just cut down your sheets, and since I made it exactly 2 foot deep, that made it easy. So I just got 2 4x8 sheets, had them cut it down into quarters, which is 2 foot by 4 foot sections, which you see here, and then put one on either side, and then the length is like 2 inches shorter than 10 feet. So I've got this middle piece that's like 1 foot and 10 inches or something like that. So I got it all filled in. So the only thing that, I mean, it's usable right now if I wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and put a few screws in just to tack these guys in. Not real necessary, but I'll do that so that they're squared off and firmly set in there. Then since I've already got them cut, I'll just go ahead and add the vertical supports. Basically one under here, one in the corner there, one under here, one in the back wall there, and then one over there, one there. We got the rack finished, beautiful. The last things I did is I put in these supports there. So they're just gonna be extra reinforcement all the way up. It's gonna be carrying some heavy weight. Those little kids in my sweatshop are kind of heavy, but I can get like 8 of them in there. Boom, pumping out the All About the Bait shirts. Now I've got some heavy product coming, so that's why this thing is really overbuilt. You could build this rack for, well, I'm not gonna say half, but maybe 3/4 of the price by not using 2x4s. You could probably get away with some 2x2s on all this stuff, if they're even cheaper. I'm not even sure if 2x2s are cheaper than 2x4s. Yeah, and then just using like nails instead of all the screws I did. I've got probably $30 worth of screws just building this thing. So that's where it got kind of pricey, but yeah, worked out great. That is done. So that's the tackle room. Now that was the primary reason for this video, and primary reason for doing that was to get this rack here for the extra storage. But side benefits is that I got this room really cleaned out and organized, which I letting it get a little bit away from myself. I always wanted to keep this because this is a workstation and I do all my photos and product photos and stuff like that there. But then building that rack was a genius idea because that got all those cardboard boxes that I had lying around. I had all my Esky shrimp and 4-inch paddle tails, XS ones are just deep all the way back in there. So I've got a ton of that. That was this whole side here was just packed full of them. Then the only other thing I might do is I might be able to put, I will put in another rack in this wall right here. I was thinking about building another one of these over here, but I think I'm going to go with my standard 8-foot rolling rack. In general, I use these racks. They're 8 feet tall by 4 feet wide by 18 inches deep. They're a massive rack, but they're expensive. They go for about 125. I got a lot of them on sale a long time ago when I first moved here for about 100, and then some of them I would buy them used returns off of Amazon warehouse and get them for like 75, 80 bucks. But they're excellent storage, especially for like this knickknack stuff. And pretty much all my other merchandise is on these. I've got probably, I don't know, 40 of these racks. But that I can fit perfectly on the other side of the wall, slot in perfectly. So that is an option there. But then the other benefit is this guy out here, my shop. It was my patio shop. Then it was my patio and drying my clothes shop, and then now it's my patio, drying, and tackle storage. I was able to get everything condensed down to those 2 racks, got rid of everything else. These are just my necessities that I actually use. I eliminated everything that is not all about the bait tackle because that's really all I use anyway, so anything else I basically got rid of. Condensed down as much as possible. My shop stuff was pretty much already organized with that shelving there, and these 2 racks. I ended up moving those outboard motors out, so that freed up this whole spot here. But yeah, rain barrels I took out. But oh, I'll put in the floors. Beautiful floors, super nice. Drop a screw. I don't have to dig out the floors and unbolt them and try to reach down and find them in the dust and dirt underneath there. Same thing, it's not going to be so much of a fire hazard if I do any welding or any grinding and stuff, because sparks aren't going down into the sawdust underneath the planks, because they had a pretty good half-inch to a quarter-inch gap in between them, but now it's just totally solid there. So that's nice. And being able to just walk straight out here and just the smooth, clean floor is balls. But yeah, love this thing now. I got even more space by adding these 2 shelves is what happened. So yeah, lovely. Future, just small stuff. Well, a couple of small stuff. One, I need to probably add a retractable extension cord just on a wheel, so I can just kind of just grab it rather than dealing with extension cords, especially in here. It's just a waste of time. Summertime, I did wait until this winter before I did this project, because summertime is just way too hot, and in here in the summertime it will be a death zone. So what I think I might do is at least on 1 or maybe 2 of them is split the outside the walls here and just split them along the middle here, and then just put whatchamacallit, so I could swing the whole thing down and just collapse them when I want it down and get the breeze in here, and then if it's going to rain I could just easily just swing them back up. Hinges, put hinges on there and just fold it down. I left all the mosquito screening and everything is still there, so the original part is all untouched, so I could just cut that, unbolt the top, and then just drop it down, get the breeze in here during the summertime, and pop it back up whenever I want to. Then I'll keep an eye out. I'm not going to spend any money on it, but usually find some doors, just people doing construction. So if I find a solid door, I'll put a solid door in here, and then I could put a lock on it, and then just make sure that it's a little bit more secure in here. But yeah, oh, and this thing, since I've got a lot of dead space up here, I originally built that for this, and this stuff is just to get that a place to store my wood and metal. So I might go back to that, but I might do is put a second shelf on this and then take up some of that dead space. Well, yeah, that is it. All right, so there you go. That is my new shop shelving. That's my new tackle room organization and my patio workshop organization. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video where I've got another project I'm going to be jumping on today.